Foundation, Palm Beach Surf Kayak Club, and the Marine Industries Association of Palm Beach County. Mark is a boater, and fun fact, he actually lived on a sailboat. We were just talking about this over lunch. He lived on a sailboat in the Caribbean with his father for 4 months following college graduation. So with that, here's Mark.
Thank you. And we didn't kill each other either, that's the main thing. It looks like everybody here, I recognize a lot of faces, and y'all know who the Florida Inland Navigation District is, so I'm done. No, really. I'm going to tell you a little bit about Florida Inland Navigation District, or is anybody that does not know who we are? Most people, all right, good. I'm going to hopefully by the end of this, we're kind of a small organization, and we don't have a lot of people out in the streets, but we're going to tell you a little bit about who we are, what we do, talk about some of our programs, and then I'll answer any questions at the end, if you will. We're the local sponsor for the Atlantic Intercoastal Waterway. For all those folks that know about federal projects, you have to have a local sponsor, just like the Water Management District functions as a local sponsor for, everybody can hear me, right? I've been a little sick, so I'll stand by the mic. You have to have a local sponsor for a project just like Water Management District sponsors the Everglades, the Atlantic Intercoastal. The Florida Inland Navigation District sponsors the Intercoastal Waterway. We've got 12 commissioners that are appointed by the governor. We have 6 staff members, so there's a lot more chiefs than Indians. We levy a small ad valorem tax for the 12 counties along the east coast of Florida. We've got everyone but Monroe. And the nice thing I like to point out is our administration is less than 2% of our budget. All of our money goes into programs. We have 4 main programs. Land acquisition and management, which was what the primary thing that we were tasked to do back in the day when we were created. We do operations, we do assistance programs, we're going to talk a little bit about, and public information. We also recently, say within the last, 10 years, 8 years, acquired the responsibility for navigation for the Okeechobee Waterway. The Okeechobee Waterway is a unique waterway, particularly in the lake, because the lake's managed for water quality and not navigation, so it's presented some additional challenges, if you will. One of the things that a lot of folks don't know is that the waterway was dug by a private canal company that started in 1881 to about 1912. They were digging away, and as they dug away, they were given lands. Since there wasn't anybody in Florida, the state of Florida just kept giving them lands as they kept making progress. They did it with a ladder bucket dredge. They connected the natural waterways. If you've been down the Intercoastal Waterway, you get to like the Lake Worth Lagoon and it opens up. That was a natural waterway at one point. You go north of here, the little narrow area was all man-made. That's where it kind of got the nice nickname, the ditch, if you will. It was 5 feet deep and 50 feet wide originally, and it was operated as a toll canal. The interesting thing was that they would put up a chain at certain lengths along the waterway. As your boat floated down, you would pay the toll, they'd drop the chain, you could continue on. Of course, all that was great until Flagler built his railroad, kind of put the technology a little bit out of favor, if you will. And the government ownership of the waterway started back in 1921. Anybody know who this president-elect is right here? 1921, Harding. The story goes he got stuck in the waterway in the hot Florida sun. He went back to Washington and said, what are we going to do about this thing? So they started dredging it. And I keep joking about it. I mean, it sounds like a joke, but I do keep joking that, maybe if we could get a vice president or a president or somebody stuck out in the waterway again, we might get some funding for it. It was owned at the time by Harry Kelsey. If those local folks will know Kelsey Park up in Lake Park. He was a developer that actually sold a lot of the Canadian developer that was constructing Lake Park and sold a lot of the waterway. In 1927, the Florida legislature decided to buy the waterway. They formed our district, and that motley crew over there is our first group of commissioners. And we promoted a bond of 1.18 million to purchase the waterway from Kelsey and other lands required. And remember, when the private developer was going through the waterway, digging the waterway, the state of Florida was just giving them property. So when we bought the waterway, we ended up with a lot of right-of-way, a lot of different lands, and we're still sorting through all this stuff today. It's amazing. In 1927, when we owned it, we started, the government owned it, I should say. We started enlarging it. In the 1930s, it went to 100 feet wide and 8 feet deep. That was kind of reflecting the waterway traffic of the time, if you will. And of course, the real interesting development that a lot of people don't know is when the ships started getting torpedoed off the coast of Florida, the federal government got really involved and interested in the waterway and actually thought about it being another potential travel corridor for shipments during the war. So in 1942 they started digging it in earnest, and today it's 400, in Florida, with the area that we have from the Georgia border down to Miami-Dade County, through Miami-Dade County, it's 406 miles in length. It goes from the Florida-Georgia border, the Cross Keys and the Keys. We don't have Monroe County, remember. I'm not even sure they're always a part of Florida, but I definitely don't want to join the district yet. It's now 12 miles deep when you get to Fort Pierce, and 10 miles deep, or 10 feet deep, sorry, 12 feet deep to Fort Pierce, 10 feet deep from Fort Pierce to Miami, 7 feet to south of Miami, and then 8 feet for the Okeechobee Waterway. And I have to keep reminding those guys in the Okeechobee Waterway, they keep building bigger and bigger boats. I said, listen, the project's only 8 feet deep. That's the maximum depth you're going to get at low water. We had estimated cost about $12 to $14 million annually to maintain it in full function. And if you'll notice, that's the Fort Lauderdale boat show, and that was several years ago. I would suggest to you that it's an even larger and more expansive now. Here we go. So our primary mission is land acquisition and management. We've got 22,000 acres of right-of-way, 35,000 acres for dredge material, and 3,500 acres for long-term dredge material management. Now remember, the interesting thing about that is we acquired a bunch of this because as the private canal company was going down through Florida cutting these areas, they were giving lands to the private canal companies. So when the state bought it, they actually acquired a lot of that property. One of the interesting things that people don't know, for instance, in Palm Beach County, northern Palm Beach County, where there's a land cut, a lot of those bottom lands are owned by private people. Some of those people have owned those private lands since the 1910s, 1920s. They don't even know they owned it. If you do it, you'll do a research, because most real estate researches go back, what, 34 years? So every now and then some entrepreneurial guy will start trying to buy the bottom lands of the intercoastal waterways. It doesn't really work that way. The 3,500 acres of long-term dredge material management are actually our active sites, if you will. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that program. For over the next 50 years, we have what's really unique in the dredging business, and I learned this once I started doing these regional and national events. I figured everybody was doing what we were doing. We've got a 50-year dredge material management plan, which is kind of unheard of in the dredging business. I figured everybody would be doing long-range planning, but it's you'd be surprised. We're a little bit further ahead of the game. About half of what we have to dredge, 12.5 million cubic yards, goes to 8 beach sites. All of that material is beach quality material that comes through the inlets. Those of you who were in the room earlier saw the presentation about how important inlets are to boating traffic. They're also one of our highest maintenance needs. The nice thing about it is that the majority of its beach quality goes right back on the beach. The other 12.5 million cubic yards, non-beach quality material, it's in 54 upland sites that we've purchased all the way from the Georgia border all the way down through our district. One of the nice things about what we do is the beneficial use of dredge material. This is Summer Haven Beach for those up near St.